Hello, everybody, and welcome to our album review of deM atlaS's Bad Actress. My name is HSR.
My name is Chris Chrome.
And if you do not care about my introduction stuff, in the description, you'll see when we start. And before we begin, we'd like to let you know right off the jump that we are just some normal people talking about the album, giving our opinions. We do this over and over and over again, so we've not heard a few. We have some idea of what's going on, and we're just giving our thoughts on as we go through it track by track. That's the format. That's how we run with it. We care a lot about what you think. So we read all the comments. I answer every single one of them as fast as I can. And on last week's video, we talked about the new Classified album. Yep. What's it called, Chris?
Tomorrow could be the day things change.
And on that album, there is a song called Legal Marijuana. And we were discussing this because October 17th came and went in Canada, so it's now legal for us to consume marijuana. And we had mentioned this particularly fun strain called Cushy Kush, and I thought it was funny. And then our good friend Ismail Gadamsi commented with, "Chocolate Thai is my favorite. Drugs always have great names." And I wanted to say I agree. And instead of commenting on the Classified album, which is great, and you should go check it out, it's some good Canadian hip-hop, I wanted to ask, what is your favorite ridiculous drug name? I just want to hear about it. If you can let me know your favorite weed strand or whatever other drug you want to talk about, that's cool. Feel free to check out some legal Canadian weed on the internet if you want to see the creative names they're advertising it with. I know there's a pink kush, something rhino, something shark.
Well, white rhino, white shark, pink kush. I may have stopped by to say hello.
Yeah, he works like right next to the dispensary.
Dude, it was ridiculous. So, like the line.
Can we talk about this for a second?
We can.
Okay, so tell them about the line.
Okay, so the line, it just wrapped around the corner, and there was it was 2:30 when I got there, and I don't.
It opened at like 10 in the morning, and at 9 o'clock at night when the store closed, it was still a line like that.
But hold on, wait. It opened at 10.
On day 3, there was still a line like that at 9 o'clock at night when it closed.
10 o'clock in the morning, it was open. I was at work, so I wasn't paying attention. I just knew where the building was because I work close to there. 2:30, I'm over there because I was finished work. I just went off into the city. And apparently all the 3.5s were gone.
Yeah.
All the pre-made 3.5s, all the pre-rolls were gone. All the, I guess like the simple like, things were gone.
Everything.
Not like the higher prices.
So check it. On day 1, Canada sold out of good weed. On day 2, it sold out of mostly everything else, and we're pretty much out of weed for legal sale in Canada. Quebec made about $1.2 million off of 40,000 sales on day 1, I believe, or something crazy like that. So like, we ran out of pot, and I have a theory that because the dealers are out there and they want to get them, that they're creating a shortage so that people still call their dealers a lot, so they clip dealers a little bit more. That's my current theory. But yeah, it's weird. It's weird how like either they just really didn't anticipate people to buy drugs like this.
No, I disagree. I think they anticipate. The thing that was weird for me was seeing people validate the way they validated it. The big lineup, there was like people throwing up like signs and like rock and roll signs, like this is a great thing. And I kind of just feel personally, my own opinion is, if you're somebody who's been doing this for a while now and you've been smoking, you've been consuming, it's not that much of a wave. Like this felt more like a hype wave, the way people were treating it.
I mean, anyone watching, it was just compared to your latest Apple release for a big product.
Yeah.
But times it by like 5. This outdid Apple in Canada. Like this was some real, like there are probably people who took off vacation days. And then, hold on, there's a good little story I wanted to share with y'all. I don't know if you heard this one yet. So how it worked is on October 17th, legal recreational marijuana became legal, which means up until the stores open, like technically speaking, nobody can legally be smoking anything.
Wait, so you mean like every day the store opens at 10?
No. Just on the first day because
okay.
no one could have bought it yet, right?
Okay, fair.
So this dude somewhere at like 8:45 in the morning blows smoke in a cop's face, does what that thing I've seen everyone on the internet. He goes, you can't do shit. It's legal now, blah, blah, blah. And the cop arrests him because he's like, the store's only open at 10. Your weed is bought on the black market, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just a friendly reminder to everyone that legal weed is literally only legal if you bought it from the drug-dealing Trudeau and his squad of provincial provinces. Because it's
Squad.
It's a provincially mandated thing. So for us, it would be through the SQDC. That's it. Like whatever Société de Québec du Cannabis or
it was weird. It was some like it wasn't even like a full plaque like designed plaque.
No,
because
they're not like it can't be advertised in anything. Like there's so many strict rules about it.
It was right next to a
movie theater.
No, well, in front of a movie theater, but next to a Pharmaprix, which is like our local drugstore.
So you go pick up your certain type of drug over there, your next type of drug over. No, I don't think there's anything. I think so.
No, I think
it had nothing to do with the pharmacy. I think it had everything to do with it being like right in the middle of downtown Montreal, and it's right next to a movie theater. Can you imagine once it's regulated and going on, how many people are going to stop by, pick up some pre-rolled, smoke some shit, and hit the movie theater? Like, dude. Anyway, y'all probably
munchies for days.
See, this is why I said you should skip ahead if you don't care about any of this shit, because I knew we were going to talk about weed today. It's going to be a hot topic. I've seen so much shit. It's all over the news. It's like everyone's talking about weed. It's a very strange time to be in Canada to watch the government pimp everybody. Anyway. So yeah, we do also want to just give a quick shout out to our patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prato, Linda Williams, Super School 1994, and we'll talk a bit about that at the end of the video. And yeah, I guess we can jump into it then, since we have talked about the infamous Canadian situation right now. Anyway, who are we talking about today, Chris?
So for today's Headspace review, we're talking deM, atlaS, Bad Actress.
Fair. And it's stylized. I'm
glad I still get to do it.
The stylization is weird because it's like the last letter of each name of each word is capitalized, not the first letter like you would normally do. And so that's a good, interesting differentiation. I'd noticed that in how he was featured on both the Atmosphere and Brother Ali albums that we've recently talked about here on this channel. I think he was on track 3 of both those albums doing hooks. So that is my only exposure to deM atlaS really before this. He's part of Rhymesayers. He's part of that squad. I guess it's cool to have heard him on hooks or whatever, but I'm not going to lie. The reason that I'm really excited to be talking about this, I was curious about deM atlaS, but it's a lot about Ant. So Ant produced this album, from what I can tell. Ant produced the Atmosphere album. Ant produced the freaking Brother Ali album. And like in the span of the last 3 weeks, Ant has become one of my favorite producers. He's so talented, and so I'm really, really excited to be able to just have listened to a whole more of his beats. Because if you like listen to these 3 albums back to back, they're just so different sounding, and they all still kind of sound like him in this like core style, and it made me really just like appreciate him. And I don't often give a lot of love to producers and shit, but Ant blew my mind, so I wanted to stop and talk about Ant for a second.
Nice.
Do you know deM atlaS?
Nope.
So yeah, Chris doesn't know deM atlaS. This is usually a part where we try to contextualize how familiar we are with an artist, just so that you guys have that little foresight as we get into this.
This is a brand new album for me. Never heard it, don't know who the artist is, and to be fair, I've only known what Rhymesayers was because
Rhymesayers.
I
think it's Sayers. I hope it's Sayers.
You introduced me to that.
Yeah.
So like, I am completely oblivious and clueless on anything.
Minneapolis
in this,
rap.
Interesting.
I don't know. I kind of like his style as production. And this album's pretty interesting. The cover, the Bad Actress got me thinking. Like, it makes it sound like there's some girl that messed around with his life or something, or something like that. But it's also like a twist on the bad actor idea, or like a bad actor would be somebody who behaves inappropriately or all sorts or causes shenanigans, etc. So it's a cool like twist on that, which got you thinking. But then you just see him sitting in like this room with these moose antler head thing over up on top, and he's just sitting there looking down, and it kind of looks like this classic, like you've seen it a lot before, album cover, but still kind of has its own little bit of distinction to it. So I appreciated that.
I like the coloring on it, like the kind of filter, the sunny shading kind of filter, glossy on it.
I mean, I can't say that if I saw this album cover just sitting there, it would catch my eye per se. But now that I know who deM atlaS is a little bit, I kind of like it. I kind of just like the way it's done and the kind of overall tone. Having listened to this project, I think it's a really fitting cover. But without listening to the project, it didn't necessarily entice me. I hope that makes sense to y'all. I don't know. I like the title. Do you have anything more to comment here?
Well, the only thing I did get from like the skull head on the top was that I felt like this is we're gonna get some type of westerny feel.
Okay.
Some like deserty, like old cowboys. Like I'm not trying to like put my concept around that like, per se, but I'm thinking like watching
No,
like
it's
a
like got the
cowboy
little
movie
animal
and it's like
head thing.
the different scenes with music and type of sounds. Like I'm thinking more like we're gonna get this certain vibe,
Right.
this like wild type of ride type thing.
Anyway, I guess we can start it off with that Tomorrow Party.
It's tomorrow, another party.
All right, Chris, how do you feel about this track?
I like the energy right away. I like the rush, the build up with the music and how it just you're starting with it kind of like these little cymbals, these little like kind of chimes that are building up. Speaking of what I was saying earlier about like the westerny feel, a deserty feel, I feel there's like this. Is it a didgeridoo? There's like this like.
I have no idea what a didgeridoo is, Chris.
Okay, well, it's an Australian musical instrument, first off, and it literally felt like I was in the outback. Like there's like I was watching this like movie, and I get this like feel of that, the way it kind of builds up. So that's how I interpreted the beginning of it, and I really loved how it kind of started off this adventure. Clearly, we're dealing with a party, and I like how I feel like he's trying to like expressing his fame, his what he's kind of going through right now, and then partying around like, so today who got the yayo, it's all right and it's okay yo, it's a party, who got the molly. So you're kind of getting like there's drug substances happening. Okay, he's kind of having fun, there's stuff going on. I feel like he's trying to live the fast life. And then we go into verse 1, and he goes, everyone's in such a rush. They'll be a star and blow up and combust. Want the fancy clothes and fancy cars. Don't know what to do when the placebo wears off. And I feel like he's trying to say that everyone's trying to blow up quick. Everyone's trying to get to be somebody they're not, or not trying to grow, like take the time to grow. But then once that fame, or once that like idea, so for example, like people might go to a party because that's what they see in like media or whatnot. So they'll go to the party, they'll do the thing, they think they're helping themselves grow and whatnot. And then once they're off the drugs, or they're off like whatever high it is, the adrenaline, it's like you didn't really go anywhere. You didn't really move up in life or something like that. It's kind of how I took that. I really enjoyed the concept of kind of just going day by day to different parties. I feel there's this like kind of idea of trying to escape, in a sense, trying to numb yourself by going to these parties and living the fast life. So I also enjoyed that. But overall, I like his voice. His voice on this was like kind of raw, scratchy, a little bit edgy. It was great. I gave it a 4.2.
Yeah, there's a certain energy on this song that's pretty cool. It starts off almost calm and I guess westerny. I don't know, maybe it's a didgeridoo. But it's like this weird religious kind of tone, like "Good morning, you were asleep, you were in some pain, walk across the burning sand, walk through the burning river." But then it has a twist: climb the tallest mountain and ride, you'll see a burning bush, which is supposed to be God as far as everything is concerned now. But nope. Instead, the devil shall appear and offer you everything you thought you desired. He'll laugh and toss it in the fire. See high rise in the burning dawn, see the red sun. So it's almost like he's kind of setting a context for, like, you go out to these things and these parties or these endeavors where you're tempted into this illusion of this godly like idea of what you're going to have happen, which I think you were touching on. And then it's not really anything more than the devil just trying to like trick you into whatever. And then it just kind of has like this pensive, like accepting, like almost, it's almost like the narrator introducing the idea, but like from the end point thinking back, and then it cuts. So yo, today who got the yayo and shit, and bullet rolls into that like slamming chorus. And if you I know that there's at least a cut scene in that like music video that's used in like another music video. I wasn't really following too much, but I almost feel like even through the visuals it's kind of moving along a timeline of when these songs happen. I could be a little bit wrong, but I just kind of caught that. But I love the way it comes in. I feel like it's got this fusion from like rock, like just this power coming in, but it's also got that like hip hop singy edge to it. Like I like the fact that I don't really know where to put this in the genre spectrum, and I think that's my favorite part. It's such a hybrid of sound, but it comes off so good, and like you can just picture yourself out in the crowd, like tomorrow at a fucking party. You know, back in the day with lighters, you'd have a lighter up right now.
Yeah, it's shelfing.
I bet everyone's kind of fucked up or whatever. But then, like, you know, you have that verse situation where it's kind of like kingdom come, thy will be done. And he's taking that twist because it's, again, some godly, like, language. But instead, it's now implying the devil and all of his darkness. And everyone's in such a rush to get into all this crazy shit. But it really is this illusion cast by the devil to tempt people off to bad things is kind of what I took. And then when it's all done and you sober up and shit, you kind of like tear off your skin, you lose who you are, you just dissolve into this kind of shell until you kind of go and do it all again, you know? And then it just kind of shows that it goes into the next part where he keeps it going with everyone's kind of at the same thing. Like we all kind of go to parties for the same reasons. We all kind of don't give a fuck the same way. And I feel like there's this communal desire to escape. And I really do believe that that's what this song is touching on, is like just kind of, but it's more of a personal experience. Like he's noticing this from his perspective. Like he's running from something, so he's going through these parties, probably because you almost get the sense he's in this like small town. There's not a lot to do, so everyone goes and gets fucked up at these house parties. There's all sorts of drugs and stuff going around, and this is just because they're all lonely and feeling this pain, and nobody really knows how to deal with some shit. So they're like going through that. Camp for the life when everyone dark, all this time wasted on trying to find something to waste it on. Like they're all just trying to like escape. It reminds me of the stories I've just heard from how small town people feel like when there's nothing to do and you just get caught in these loops and shit. But then I think it's really at the end, we're going to do it again and again and pray the effect never wear off. Hope the night will never end. Can't find someone to go home with. I think that's the most substantial part. It's because ultimately, like, people go to parties to get laid, and after all this desire to escape and all this good shit, like the last line is, "But all that happens, and I still have to go home alone." Right? But it's like setting the zone, like the scene of this, because I feel like this album is a linear story in the way that his emotional state like transfers song to song.
Right.
So you're getting the scene of him being fucked up in the party and everyone's on drugs and everything's crazy. Everyone's having this great time. Everybody's a best friend. But at the end of the day, he's gonna leave on his own because nobody really wants to connect.
I feel like there's this. I feel like he's trying to emphasize that he's dealing with like the fear of being alone, or like not being able to handle like that nobody maybe wants him or like wants to be around him or something like that.
But I also feel like it's at like the beginning of a story, like because it usually starts, you go out there, it's crazy, you get fucked up and escape. Like it's the beginning when it's all new and exciting, like it hasn't turned into anything yet. And I don't know, it's really, I liked it a lot. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I think for one thing, Ant's production is next level, and the way he hits it on this song is really great. And then, yeah, I think him not being able to find someone to go home with is interesting because it ties into the core theme of the next song, which is about how he never belonged.
That everybody here is gone.
All right, Chris, how do you feel about this one?
I like it. I like how it kind of, from the last track, it flows into it very smoothly, kind of like now I feel like the party's died down. I feel like people are started going home, and like, you know, as he leaves off from the last track, has to go home alone, but I feel like now he's kind of like walking home maybe, and like he's kind of thinking like maybe I never belong.
He's also coked out of his mind. He's coked out of his mind at this point.
I didn't realize he was coked out.
That's because the lyric had a question mark in it when you had reviewed it, and then by the time I got to it, I listened, and he says, yeah, I did coke till 4 a.m. Now I'm zoning alone at home, and the sun is rising, the moon is setting. So that's like how he starts out the first verse. So like the chorus has like, don't want to stay out, don't want to go home, don't want to leave, don't want to talk to you. Like everybody was rolling, and so you get this like almost anxiety. Like he doesn't connect anywhere. He doesn't know what he wants. He's restless. Like he wants to be alone, but he also doesn't want to be around anybody in his world. You know, like. Absolutely. And that's an interesting feeling, you know. He's questioning shit. Is it me? Is it me? Don't want to talk to you. See so many faces, can't remember names. Don't want to talk to you. So you just fucking, you know, you just feel it, and he's singing it almost joyfully though, and that's what's cool. Like about it, like there's this juxtaposition of like these dark emotional tones on these almost uplifting music. Like it's supposed to be celebrating the fact that he's realizing on this song how little he connects to people. And that's why I get this like small town mentality, because I kind of picture him sitting in like his neighborhood or wherever he's from, you know, and he's looking around and he hates everybody on the block. He's got this bullshit job he's been trying for so long, and it's not really working. And then, you know, he just kind of realizes that he doesn't connect to anybody, and he doesn't want to be here anymore, you know? And he just kind of paints the picture in like this slow timing sense. Like I can see my house from way up. Down there is a disaster ready to happen at any time. The world is open now. Judgment act upon us. So act modest. Godless creatures in the streets they're on. Sit down home and nothing to do. Last thing I want is to watch the news. All I'd rather do is talk to you. I'm like... He has this again furthers his anxiety in terms of like society and the world around him and the connections, but like in his immediate world, he has nobody he can connect to talk to about the bigger issues going on in his life. And I think it's maybe, I don't know if it's directly him, but I could see how this is a lot of people right now. You're consistently told not to talk about this type of shit that makes you anxious in any kind of context because it might offend people, so it kind of traps you in a box or whatever. And then it kind of rolls into a third verse where it's like, I gotta get outside if I'll survive. Better learn to fly or suicide, do or die. They say, who am I? They say nothing wrong, but there's something wrong. Wait, time's a hand for the working man. I don't feel much but the underhand. I hope you understand a song about the angel's wing left on my steps to go. And from that I took like this desire that if he stays in his current situation, in his current life, going to the same job, surrounded by these same people, doing the same kind of thing, you may as well fucking kill yourself for the overall feeling of contradiction inside of himself he's like getting. And a lot of this is, to me, expressed in the way he sings it and the way he expresses his voice. And I can kind of relate to some of that. Like, if you're working this job that's dead end and you don't see a future and you think about your life in a decade and it's just depressing and all this other shit, you know, he wants to get away. He wants to change. He wants to go somewhere where he can feel connected and belong to people, you know? And that's the kind of overall sense I got from this song. And, you know,
I got a sense of disconnect from himself a little bit.
But then, like, at the end, there's fuck luck. Take a truck, get a bus. I don't want to talk to you. I want to read you and your scar talk to you. Just that little line at the end, it just makes me picture him now. He's fucking done a bunch of blow, walking home, realizing how much he fucking hates his current life in this situation. And then you just, at the end, like the scene ends with like him with his bus ticket, getting on the bus with his little bag. Well, that's how I pictured it. But it's like, it's such a cool visual like story,
the way he carries you through like the song. You can really like kind of follow it. Like,
but it's, to me, it's more how he sings it than what he's saying that really gives you that visual side. And then what he's saying counts too. Anyway, I like what he did with the song, but from a style perspective, this is going to be a 4.25. This is not my favorite style of music, although I really appreciate it, and it's got this super cool vibe.
I mean, I gave the song a 4. I enjoyed it. I like the self-reflecting aspect of it and coming to terms with like never belonging. But I feel like there's this, he's also kind of maybe like trying to figure out why he doesn't belong. Like there's
Right.
still that uncluelessness of he doesn't fully understand why he doesn't belong.
I agree with that.
As well as, I mean, if he is on coke, and I'm not saying he's not, if he is, out of his mind and stuff, that could also be like maybe he's also expressing his experience of like how when he's on drugs or whenever he's like out of it, this is kind of what happens to him. This is how he thinks, how he feels, and how he goes through like different processes and patterns. It was really good, but I do agree that for me this isn't something that I would really listen to though. So I left it with a 4.
Anyway, I gotta just give props for how the songs feel connected. Like he does drugs in the first song, and then the second song starts off with like how he did drugs till 4 a.m, and he's kind of like what happened next. And then the following song, he gets on the bus or train or whatever, and then the next one's called Early Train.
But now they don't give me what I want, no. One side.
So here, I feel like just to continue that connection, look at that start of the first verse. I've been to places where the rain is welcome. Glad I talked to God to the sunshine, he'll come, you know? So I just got this sense of him in the last track, coked out of his mind all night, walking home at 4 a.m, the sun's rising. And then in this next song, he kind of even makes that little bridge there. Maybe I'm speculating a little too much, but I kind of feel like it was deliberate moves.
Well, like part of, because my thing is I feel like the song's about like leaving in the morning, like he's kind of hooking up with a girl, and it's not real. Like he's kind of trying to just do what he wants, and she might be. I feel like I get this impression that she wants to like. I get like deM atlaS is giving us his experience on certain relationships that he's been doing some work with, and he's trying to figure out like how he wants to handle them. But if they're not really treating him properly, or like he doesn't feel like there's that thing, he kind of takes the early train and not trying to waste their time or whatnot.
I mean, I don't know if this one, because I kind of looked at it like girls come into the equation, and I could be wrong, but I feel like this is still about everyone. Like, at this point, he's left his town, let's say, or his neighborhood or his environment,
Right.
and he's traveling out, and he's, like, reflecting a little bit. Like, I'm taking the early train, I'm making it very plain, I'm taking the easy way out. You know what I'm talking about. So you're right. Maybe that's
Because at the end, he goes, like, I'm trying to love you. Like, at one point in the end, he states, he's like, I'm trying to love you. So I feel like he's giving us this expression. I'm not saying it doesn't connect. I'm saying like this is like even myself on this track, I was a little bit confused because I was like, but you want to love this person, you're going through these emotions.
Yeah, but it could be like a friend or a family member or anybody that he's trying to offer love to.
Right, but I'm thinking I'm taking early train as like.
Well, because he's at 4 a.m. and he's escaping town.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the other way around. I'm saying this is a completely new track. And this is a song about like he met this girl, such and such is going on, and then he kind of starts feeling certain ways, and he's like, I don't really vibe with this, and he's like, if this isn't like I want A, if you're not giving me A, then I'm just gonna take the early train in the morning.
I mean, it's got stuff like that is what I needed, like a perfect desolation, sitting in a corner where my mind is contemplating. I think I'm real. Everyone is just fake and don't even know the reason for my stagnation.
Maybe she's not treating him properly. Like
I mean,
he kind of feels like
it's
this is all like
trying
maybe
to
just for
find
the money or
myself. I
whatnot.
need to be more patient. Reason for my lateness. I catch everyone waiting. Everyone's saying they like life is what you make it. Right now, I feel like I want to forsake it. To me, it could be about a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like aside from that line of like love, which I feel is more about genuinity in his relationships, and you could be right. I feel like this is more like he's getting the fuck out or wherever. He's getting because the early train's like the first train you can catch, right?
Absolutely.
So if he's trying to escape, like, because I think about Hudson. My boy grew up in Hudson. So you had the train at 6 a.m. and the train at like 6 p.m. and that was it.
Well, I mean, I had trains where my mom lives.
So anyway, you would take the early train,
Right.
and if you're trying to get out of your little environment or your neighborhood, you get the early train, you get the fuck out. And while you're sitting on that train car, and it's the early morning, and nobody's around, and you're kind of almost having a conversation with a guy, and you're reflecting on shit, you know, you're trying to understand, because in the last song, remember, we don't understand that
Right.
anxious feeling, and I feel like on this song, he's taking some time to try to explore
Self-reflecting again.
like what created that like moment on it, which I thought was particularly cool. I like the beat a lot. I'm a sucker for antics, like I said a couple times now. Musically, I realize for deM atlaS, I like him singing when it sounds like that cool rock stuff, but the overall sound that he's got for a lot of these songs, I admire how well made it is, but it's not necessarily my favorite sound. So I gave it another 4.25 because the beat's fantastic, but deM atlaS is not my favorite singer type. I like his rapping a lot. His singing is 50-50 with me so far.
I gave it a 4.
All right, I guess we can talk about our fucking gratitude for being able to listen to more Ant.
I don't give a damn.
Holy shit, does he sound amazing on this song.
It's funny.
It's like it's a completely different like style, I think, than the last two.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck, is it good? No, you don't agree? Chris
No,
is
I
being
do
a hater.
agree. And it's funny because the more, like, now that we're kind of discussing it and breaking it down, I'm seeing the album in, like, a little bit different way, even regarding my notes. Because here I feel like he's, like, in that chorus, I tried to be somebody I already was, and I don't give a fuck. I just wanted them to like me for who I am. I don't give a damn. Like, I feel like this is the train ride.
Well,
Now, like, I think the last track, he's walking to the train station or whatever it is, and he's talking whatever, and that could be it. And then now he's on the train, and he's like kind of relieved that he's kind of leaving or escaping or whatnot.
I mean, maybe.
Or maybe he's actually at the new spot.
See, that's where I'm taking it. He's
Right.
got because this is a scene in the movie where he's like settling into his new little shitty 1.5, and he's picturing like his
Maybe
new
this is
life.
the part where he got signed. Maybe it's like his journey in hip hop.
I'm telling you my movie here. Okay, I had a movie playing out for this one. So now he's in this little like 1.5 apartment. He's got his little shit set up, and he's no longer in his little wherever he came from. And this song has like he has reflected on how it came to this point, and he realized that he was fake because he had to please people because the world requires that shit for some reason. Like you can't be real with like life. You have to like smile and nod and not talk about real shit, and everyone's fake. But yo, how was the hockey game last night? You know what I'm saying? That seems to be the kind of accepted stuff.
How was the last Netflix show you
Not
watched?
to shit on hockey or hockey fans or sports fans in general. It's just that's totally okay. But if you talk about politics, it's a little risky, is all I'm trying to say. Anyway, but this song is like this glorious sounding, like triumphant, happy song about how he
Relief.
no longer gives a fuck. Kind of like
Yeah, there's relief in this track. There's
yeah.
I feel like he's thankful or appreciating the fact that I guess like he maybe, let's say, took the train or escaped
it's
or he
like-
found himself.
But it's a little more than that, right? It's stuff like, now I said my love is gone. I don't know how I'll carry on. I know I've made mistakes, but I don't really owe him praise. Bricks to loose and can full of gasoline, cigarettes and Dramamine, which is gravel. It's the anti-fucking puke medicine. Feels like my soul is black on this road and I won't look back. So it's like what I'm seeing here is a guy who tried the love and the gratitude and appreciation and the nice thing and the kind thing, and he got fucked over by life because nobody gave a fuck about who he really was and who he really cared about. So he's a little bit jaded now, and he's internalized that like don't give a fuck spirit. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to be who I am unapologetically. And it's like a celebration to giving up the almost genuinity of like consideration or something like that in his life. I thought it was fucking cool, but it's also like this acceptance to it, like made my bed and now I lay. Outside is where I used to play. Nobody comes around when I'm feeling down, and no one knows how long it takes for someone's will to break down. And it kind of like flows through there, points out also like it kind of flows into like the end of the verse where he's saying shit like your love is shallow, one loves their shadow, kiss of death, loss of breath, you were here and then you left. And this is where I feel like we're starting to see the relationships in his new life are going to be a little bit more shallow, more in that like one night stand variety of things, that like because the deep attachments and the caring and real emotional connections didn't work for him, so now he's putting up the walls,
Right.
And it's just again the juxtaposition of the celebration of that mixed with the darker tones of the lyrics is really fucking cool to me, and I love the way this one sounds. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's actually interesting. I like the ending, "Hello Stranger," when he's kind of feeling like he's talking to himself and he doesn't know who he is, or it may, like kind
But
of one
it
of two
could
ways.
also be a girl or some shit.
It could be. I took it more as like the new him that he's becoming due to like as a result of everything he's been through so far on the last couple of tracks. He's like, "Hello, stranger. Like I don't know who you are. I'm kind of
But like it's
Like
partly
I'm
'cause
scared of change.
But it's also kind of partly what the next song is. So like you can almost picture him like
Right.
in the montage. He gets out of his apartment, he walks into the local bar, and this song with that "Hello Stranger" is him like walking up to somebody new, and he says "Hello Stranger" before we head into the next track. Which
I gave it a 4.
Well, I wasn't trying to like cut to that right away. It was just more like to explain my thoughts on that requires a bit of context. The next song's a little more about a girl per se. So it kind of makes sense. And it seems to be like every song has connected to the previous or the next song in some way. I think it's cool. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I gave it a 4.5, like I said. Only a 4? Chris, that's okay. It's not your cup of tea.
It's not. It's
But Bad loves company. Don't you see? Rhyming is G.
You are mine. I'll be right back. Put the bad mouth on me.
I don't know, but for me now, like, it's not necessarily like he met a particular girl. I feel like we're moving into this phase where he's accepting, like, the new part of his life where everything's kind of fucked up and whatever.
Well,
But he's also lonely and he's craving this person to, like, fill that void in his life. And he's, like, trying to find them, you know?
I agree. I think that from the last track, the Hello Stranger, I can get on board with the thing of like meeting somebody. Let's not say it's a girl yet. So
I'm going to go with girl, but go on.
well, let's say like he meets someone and then they kind of go for like a drink or whatnot. And he starts having a conversation and that person leaves. And then he meets a girl and then that person leaves. And then he's by himself is kind of how I took this track.
Okay. That might be true too. Like he's just kind of cruising on through.
If we take the concept of being new to a new place, making a friend, guy or girl, wouldn't matter at this point.
You're
It would just
right.
be to make your first friend. So now being the weird outcast person he might be, or he might feel like he is, and he doesn't belong or whatever, maybe this person is like, yo, let's go for a drink, get to know each other, and then I'll show you around the city. And then within like an hour or two of chilling with this guy, he's like, yo, I'm
I
gonna
guess,
bail.
and you're just like you're so lonely that you're like pouring your heart out to this like stranger.
Right, the first
and
person who'll listen.
You feel so rotten and awful, and you feel like you're the worst. You may be a little bit drunk. You're a little bit depressed or something. That's a really good point. I appreciate where you're coming from with that.
I like where he went. Where do I go and where do I turn? It looks like a dead end. This ain't no fairy tale, no happy ending or beginning. I keep on sinning. The devil on my shoulder keeps grinning.
Because remember, he made that contract with the devil almost back on track 1.
But I also think that could also be like the addiction, maybe, because I feel like he. I don't want to call him an alcoholic, but I feel like he's.
Well, I feel like he's escaping through whatever means are necessary.
Right.
But he kind of mentions the devil thing again because for him, it's like it looks like it's the path to finding everything he's looking for, but it's really the devil tempting him into the worst decisions.
Right.
So, like, what are you doing here in the middle of the night when it's closing time at this bar, pouring your heart out and soul out to a stranger type reflections? But I don't know, man. But I love when he's like, so come and meet me in the bar. Let's get happy in the church, living parallel to hell. No breath left to exhale some time. I feel like none of this is real. Often lay me in hardships, coughing, yo. And you just get like, and then it flows into your fairy tale line. But it's just, you get the sense of this is like this regular existence for him. He doesn't know how to function in this normal sense. He's so lost and confused that he's got to go into like bars or these, like he's probably, you almost picture like he's this regular, he's just, like you said, like an alcoholic.
Like
he's
right
just,
off the bat, he goes, what am I looking for in a tavern darker than a cavern? Why does it never stop? So I feel like just because my notes are all over the place when I'm doing this. I feel like maybe he walked into a bar, and I kind of get this image like he walks into a bar because he's going to get a drink to suppress whatever he's got. Somebody stranger met into him, starts, and then we go into the whole thing. So
which is cool.
I feel like there's this. You get this sense of him wanting to speak to somebody. It's not like sexual or intimate or commitment or nothing. It's just he wants somebody who can just be completely like no judgment and just hear him for who he is.
Also be somebody else who can be like him. He wants to connect a bit because I think he figures that whoever else is in this place is going to be just as fucked up as he is,
Right.
I took that a bit too. I give this a 4.35. Because I liked it more than the ones I gave 4.25 to on this album, and I liked it less than the ones I gave 4.5 on this album. But I thought it was a really cool track, all things considered.
Gave it a 4.
let's talk about the next one, Never Knows Best.
And I never know best. I could.
Like, this one has this like show tunesy almost vibe to it with these big piano chords and like he's all bouncing on that beat like da 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 da, and you can almost picture like this is the musical scene and everybody's like singing along with him as he's.
I feel like this is the
I mean, this is just
part.
the sound. I agree with you. I just meant the style of music because it's
Yeah.
because I don't feel like we've expressed enough how different song to song both his singing changes and Ant's production genre lines change.
And you're right, because I feel like he's going through like with the song and the more we're discussing this, the more I'm seeing it on like the different wave of emotions and the anxiety and the fears and like this is where I'm at this moment and in the beginning when we're throwing the party, I feel great. Start of my
Like,
thing,
and now fuck, I'm faded,
right? And then we move through, and now we're at this like, okay, I don't know what's
like
going on.
Rock bottom, lonely,
Right.
not sure how to deal.
Although this track's about a girl.
Absolutely, but it's his craving for a girl. He's trying to find a girl, you know, like damn. In the morning,
Really,
I'm wasted.
I took it as he met
damn,
this girl,
in the
and
morning.
he's like,
in the morning, I'm wasted. You, I am chasing. You, I'm embracing right now. In a way, I love you. I feel like it's the idea a little bit more than the actual person. This is me.
Okay.
You could be
I
a
see
person,
that.
but it's because like it's
I feel like there's like a love lost connection between the other person and him.
Or
that
like
he's expressing that.
it almost sounds like this is how like the night goes when he macks on a chick a little bit. This is the lines he's saying to a person. And it's cool that there's so much interpretation here. I don't know that he wanted it to be like a specific thing because I think the more important part is the emotions that he's conveying so that you can kind of relate it in your own personal way to the story a little bit. But you know, I don't know if it's love, what if it's lust. I long for your touch right now and I never know best. I couldn't care less when your legs wrapped around me right now. So like, cause I could picture it like it's one chick he's banging on the regular, or it's like every night a new chick. I've had a couple of phases like both those things in my life, and they kind of end up making you feel the same way, that empty, hollow longing to escape. So instead of using drugs or alcohol or being in bars now to the middle of the night, he's like migrating into using women to cope in the same kind of way.
Well, I mean,
but also to solve the problem
I don't think he's
like
coping. I think he's more.
But he's trying to cope, not that he is.
I feel like he's trying to find a connection,
which is what he's doing with everything else. He's been trying to find a connection the whole album.
But that's what I'm trying to split. Like when we're talking about the alcohol, the drugs, and all that, I feel like that's trying to cope and numbing yourself and trying to deal. But I feel like this is I guess it's coping. I maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this is not as much coping with the situation as more as obsessing and driving towards trying to find a connection to feel. So like once he feels that connection, then he can cope.
Check it like here in the end of the second verse. Right now, I wish you would kill me. Then we could have the time of our lives right now. And these drugs taking over. I'm getting closer to you right now. You know, like there's that. I get the feeling the whole album is about coping with that loneliness.
But
check it.
Hold on, take those bars literally, right?
So
if he dies, who's he seeing up in heaven or hell, whatever? And he's
meant it more like kill me for like the experience would make me feel like so alive. And like this, I took it like more of a melodramatic way because he's like fucking high, and we could have the time of our lives because you know it's the most exciting thing that's ever gonna fucking happen to me, kind of thing. And he's getting high with this person and connecting with them at a deep level. Like they pop some Molly and some shit, and now they're in love 4 hours later. And then meet me in after dark. Meet me in my room. I'll meet you at your spot right now. Meet me here and there with the Hennessy. We'll get high. We'll get fucked up. So what I'm taking it now is, it's just to deal with that loneliness. He's been able to identify that there is a loneliness and there is like a craving for a connection with someone, and he's trying to chase women to fill that void and to create that connection in this kind of crazy fast-paced environment. Like he'll do anything. Oh, you want to go to the club and get fucked up? Let's go. And then he's smashing and shit, and it's all part of like this escaping his loneliness and what he's living with on a regular. At least that's how I took that one. I don't know, I liked it. I thought it was pretty fucking cool. I give it a 4.5. I just felt like it was alive, like it had this really powerful feel to it, and like it really carried the story along in a way that made sense following the last one.
I gave it a 3.5. I didn't feel anything to the track. I just felt like
it's because you don't like show tunes at all.
Maybe, but I like what he's saying. I like the message. I don't know. It's just not something that really was for me, I guess. It wasn't really, I don't know. I just didn't enjoy listening to it overall.
What? I mean, okay, it's fine. It's cool. You don't have to like it. I mean, I could see, I don't know. I just think it's a cool transition. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm not trying to say it's not a cool transition. It's just like, I like what he did. I like his lyrics. The song itself, I was just like,
It's all right, Chris. You're going to get some pneumonia.
Wanna kiss you, wanna try to love again, but I'm sick in bed with.
I'll be honest, I got confused with the beat on Pneumonia and fucking Never Knows Best. I get it. Never Knows Best is a little bit drier in terms of a beat. I still like the vibe of that song in terms of its kind of spaced out feel that really fits the lyrics more than a show tunesy vibes. This one's got the show tunesy vibes. My bad, everyone. So sorry for fucking that up. But yeah, how do you feel about this one?
I like this one a lot more.
So Chris does like show tunesy vibes.
I like this energy. I do. I like the vibe. I like the way he kind of he switched throughout the verses, and he carries his kind of like his pain and anger through his voice. But I like this type of self-reflection where he's kind of stating like, I need you just as bad as I would need pneumonia, but it's like nobody needs pneumonia. Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's that realization of like, I don't need you. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm intoxicating myself in this negativity, this bad energy. But I do get a sense of confusion when he goes, I don't need help. I'm not myself. And it's like, again, I'm getting this disconnect. I'm getting this, he is no longer maybe deM atlaS. Maybe he's not, what's his name? Joshua, I think?
I don't remember his name.
Okay, well, anyway, that's what I think I saw on the wiki page. But
well, I think it's
like,
not...
I feel like there's this, because again, he's talking about not being himself, and it's like, if you're not yourself, you're being someone else. You're not you don't feel whole or whatnot.
But yeah, I don't think if it's a matter of you're being someone else or you're not deM atlaS. I think it's more like, I'm not necessarily super fucking depressed. I'm just not fucking happy. I'm in this weird neutral place where I don't need to go see a therapist per se. I'm going to figure it out, but I'm floating on through and things aren't necessarily totally copacetic. Like, he's making bad choices. He's learning from his bad choices slowly. He's gaining that self-awareness like you described. And I'm still feeling stupid over fucking up with the beats there. But yeah, and I agree that it needs you like I need pneumonia. It's always nice in California. And I feel like it's an interesting contrast because I can't imagine a lot of people in California get pneumonia just because I feel like you need to be in a cold place to get pneumonia. And then it's just kind of like I feel like the consequences of that lifestyle a little bit. Like before it was like the more fun, glamorous in the club with different girls and shit. And now it's like, I walk you smelling like dead cigarettes, booze are on my breath. I miss you. I kiss you on. I try to love again, but I'm sick and paired with the wrong person and purses. You pick your poison, pull a gun, and just aim it on annoyingly in my head.
The wordplay is beautiful.
It's like, yeah, like this almost like takes an entire twist on maybe some of the ideas in the last song and shows the impact of it. Like when you're out there, it's almost like you're gambling with people and you know they're not the right people and it's this waste, this taxation on your life and soul. And I really, really dug it, you know. And then
he really knows how to like depict corruption and like destruction, like self-destruction a little bit very well.
Like this like painting on his spirit, like he has awareness enough of a God in his life to understand that his soul is tainted is kind of what I got. And like, tell me how you feel, tell me how you really feel. What did I do to you? What did I do to be black and blue? Things are much better looking on the outside looking in. And what I kind of thought about maybe is he's with somebody he's like dating this person and everything looks so great on Facebook and Instagram and everything was good, but like in private times it's just this rotten awful situation of like everything's fucked up. Maybe they're going out every night, maybe they're arguing, maybe a bunch of other stuff, but it's like taxing on him because it's not the right situation. And I I like how as the album's progressing, the overall tone is changing. So it's kind of moved to like, I'm always playing around. Don't let me down. Don't let me drown. And on my sick, I know the stick. My home a mess. I be living in squabble. My actions are mean in this, And it's like this overall understanding that maybe he's partly to blame is another theme that we're starting to see come to life over here, which we weren't seeing earlier. It was always somebody else, and now it's like he was like mad at everybody else. Now he's understanding he's a little bit a part of this mixed with everything else, and his choices impacted it. I thought it was fucking cool. I gave this one a 4.25. I think it's a pretty decent song.
Nice. I really like the energy through the track, though. I like the hype, the kind of like, even though he's starting to realize that he might be the problem or whatnot, it still has this kind of like happy feel to it. It may be the show tunes, it may be that type of vibe, but I like how he's able to convey like serious emotions in these kind of opposite ways. Like he's very angry or he's very sad, but the beat is super happy, and it kind of goes like, I feel like, again, relief. There's this sense of understanding and this sense of comfort, and which is why there's that portrayal of happiness. I gave it a 4.2. I really, really like this song.
All right, let's move on to the Music Man, who can help me sing.
I don't mean to be so rude, but would you leave with me?
Man, this one is, again, another of that, like, depressing nature lyrically. Loneliness is creeping all over this song. It is really singy. It's a little more on the like calmer, let's say least hip-hoppy side of this album.
But I like the feel to it, though. I like how he's kind of giving out this message of like, nothing's going right, nobody wants to talk to me, but I need to connect. So hey, DJ, play that track, in a sense.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Music Man, play the music so I can kind of escape. And it's another type of, again, relief and escapism that he's using. But I like how he's not using like...
Well, he's like singing along, etc., to escape. But then in that first verse, it's like he's trying to mac on this girl and he's like running you through the lines. But it doesn't really work, is kind of the sense that you get, right? Because in the second verse, he's kind of on his own again. So I kind of felt like that was him just trying to show you like a capture of like, okay, so I'm singing, I'm out there, I'm still trying to find this connection. All the other girls said no, maybe you're gonna be the girl that's for me. Probably not.
I like how he used that line. He was like, I call you beautiful, and then like you're rolling your eyes like you don't believe it.
Right.
Kind of like that. Like, I like how, for me, it felt like people use that so much. People kind of like oversaturated that type of term.
It's like more this idea that you'll say it to anyone and everyone, so you don't trust it, and I don't know. And then the second verse kind of has him like, he feel like being around friends, but he can't figure out who that is. So he wants to be around people, but he has no friends, and he can't find friends, and he can't figure out how to connect. And then everybody's leaving, said the Music Man living in my head, sing a song, just one more song, and sing it strong and make it long. And then he's kind of connecting with his music. Maybe it's lonely coping music, whatever, and he just kind of longs for something else going on. And then there's no one, and then I just like the outro. There's no one I want to talk to. Everyone is laughing in the bathroom. Nothing to say about how are you. Can you casually explain who are you, Mr. Music Man, etc. And then it goes into I miss Music Man. No, I miss the Music Man. And you kind of get the sense that it kind of went from going out and then to like him being alone in his apartment, and now he doesn't even try to go out anymore or do any of these things because at the end of the day, it overall wasn't a sustaining or good experience. I don't know. That's kind of, I guess, how the movie moved along in my mind. And I really was okay with this one. I gave it another 4.25. Stylistically, it's not for me, but it's really well made. And I really appreciate how well put together it is and how it fits into this project.
I like what he's bringing up. I like what he's trying to talk about. And it's like certain situations, certain experiences do kind of put you in certain vibes and certain feels, and I like that he's being very personal. I don't know how personal, but like I like that he's being very open and honest about how he feels in certain occasions.
That's fair.
I gave it a 4.
All right, let's move on and talk about Ronnie.
Myself lately,
This one again is kind of depressingly slow and singy, and
Super raw though.
it really is. And you kind of have like this idea that he's now feeling the emptiness of the various relationships. Like, and I'm thinking in particular like more of a one night stand type thing, or maybe just serial dating or something like that.
He says, knowing what I know, I shouldn't have fucked with you. Shouldn't have slept with you. Shouldn't have crept with you. Should have never come inside you.
You give it away. You fuck it away. You
don't say my name.
I guess maybe she cheated or something.
I mean, I feel like this is more of a direct relationship. Like, hey, if he's got a connection to, the one-nighters or whatnot, then okay, cool. But I feel like that's just really weird. If you and the other person are like, yeah, this is a one-night thing, why would you really care if you did X, Y, Z with her?
Well, I meant it more like, so you did all of these things and you're thinking back after the fact and realizing you shouldn't have, maybe jizzed in a person you just met. But it could also be, I guess, more of a serious relationship thing. But I kind of looked at it like our time together, our time apart, it felt so empty, the time is fleeting. So
but
that's
no, I'm still going to think it's somebody more direct.
When you love someone and they don't love you, don't waste your time, don't waste my time, and these happens can't replace you. Who can you trust? Look what you've done. But it doesn't necessarily, to me, mean it was like the most serious long-term relationship. It could be like they were dating for like 2 months and he fell totally head over heels for you.
Even 6 months' time. I mean...
But I think there's a bit of a difference. A little bit. The longer it goes, the more serious it gets. But I kind of took it like he meets people and he falls in love with them and they don't treat him proper here. And it's a sense.
But is it like proper, or is it maybe his like standards or something? Like,
I think he's maybe not approaching the situations correctly, because then you look at the verse, it's like, you belong to me, follow me into infinity, everything just to say everything. If I can't have you, then I'm nothing. No matter where I go, I can't just let you go. And now I'm sick of suffering, suffocating, think I'm drowning. So when I look at that, I'm like, so you have this guy who's like really into this chick, probably overwhelmingly into this girl, who wants to possess her and be with her and really intensely, because he's already expressed how lonely he is and how like he's having trouble relating. So maybe he finds people he really maybe enjoys time with and they connect, and maybe dates a year. To me, it's all the same type of shit. I think it's more the habit of ending up in these moments where it's like, don't waste my fucking time. How can you hurt me? How can it be like this? This is kind of what he wants versus whatever. But then it's just that beautiful, lengthy like guitar solo that like kicks in through this one and like really just carries it through. I don't know, half the song is like this beat and it just kind of ends with like this ooh kind of stuff at the end of it. And to me, it's just really enjoyable. I gave this a 4.5. I think it really...
This is the one with the guitar solo?
Yeah. It really expresses his like pain.
That's
in
what
a way,
I wanted to talk about.
And like his loneliness, and that even as he's going through all of these different ways to like try to deal with it, they're all still kind of failing. Only this time it's more like he's trying to be more proactive, but it still feels like everyone's wasting his time.
Absolutely. The guitar solo itself, it really kind of it resonated with me, because you can hear the destruction. You can hear the pain in the like. Thinking of it as like a movie, a scene or whatnot. It's like we just got this raw, pure, vocal, beautifully wrote. Like, I find it was beautifully written down. And then right when it's finished, it's like that scene goes on. Maybe he like, gets in the car, gets on the bus, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But the music in the background kind of just giving you that destruction feeling, that like he's breaking inside, that he's like kind of screaming out for help, but doesn't know how to, but he's silent. And it's just, that was so great. I like that. I wanted to bring that up. I gave it a 4.5.
That's fair. Let's talk about a letdown. Like, I've been let down before. So this one kind of takes a look. See, okay, I feel like this one is like after looking at the broken relationships in his life and stuff, he goes inward and tries to figure out where it all went wrong for himself, and he starts thinking back. And so this is like a cutback scene to his like growing up. Yeah, and he's picturing his parents and like his mom and dad fighting and shit, and how like he was this goofy, awkward kid with glasses and asthma. You get the sense he's weak and he can't do much, and his dad beats his mom and his mom takes off. And then there's like this pivotal moment in the second verse where it's like he goes upstairs and there's this blood and she's just gone, and he never found a body or anything. but like she just never came back. And I wasn't sure if that alluded that the dad killed her, or if he beat her so bad that she just took off and never came
in the
back.
third verse, and because I had the same thought. In the third verse, he goes, I'm asked to being a bastard son, daddy's gun, smoking, blocking out my son, leaving reminiscent of memory.
Mean, the thing is, it could go either way.
I know it could go either way, but I feel like, but again, he also kind of
Because he grew up with his mother, though, in Minneapolis, if I understand correctly. Like, I just felt that like it was his dad being a shithead and being a bad father that got his parents to get separated. I read on Wiki he grew up with his mom, so I was like, well, I guess she didn't die. But I kind of look at like he beat her so bad there was blood and shit everywhere that she took off and like never came back type of shit, and it caused a big rift. So growing up, either way, broken home type situation. And then in the third verse, he like really takes the opportunity. Now awake from dreams where I shot him and smiled. I fucking hate my father. I thought I built a bridge over that troubled water. I guess I didn't. Use the pen and the gun and the ink for the ammunition. Shot the motherfucker, and now I know what I'm missing. So like he's able to use like his
talent to
like express the emotions and understand that he's maybe not over this shit that he thought he was and whatnot. And I thought it was really cool. I thought this was another 4.5 on 5. I thought it was a really strong song, and I can kind of get what it's like to think back on that type of shit and understand the impact it has on you as an adult. So I think it was really well done and really well placed in a story, because it's such a. It sounds like this journey that you have, that a lot of people are going to go on a very similar journey to what he's expressing here on this album.
I gave it a 4.6. I like the chorus of let down. I've been let down before. It's like there's this sense of jadedness. Like, granted, the father beating the mother and that whole situation, that definitely impacted him psychologically and all that. But I feel like there's this sense of like he's kind of like best friends with letdowns. Like he just lives in that.
Yeah,
he just lives in that type of mentality. Like, oh, hey, my name is so and so. We're gonna be friends, and he's just like, yeah, I see. Like in 3 weeks, you're gone.
Yeah,
like that, you know, that type of response.
But
like,
it's because it stems from his parents.
Exactly. And I like that type of self-awareness. I like that like self-analyzing that he's doing. It's really powerful in a way, and it kind of left me to think a little bit about myself, and that's what I liked about this track. It was very, as much as it was more of a personal, my family, this is where I kind of come from track, I still felt like there's a lot that listeners could take away from this and kind of like think back and like how maybe we interact with each other, or how we kind of are jaded towards certain like aspects or concepts. I know I'm a little bit jumbled here, but it's a really... It's kind of like it's just a very deep thought that can go on forever. So I gave it a 4.6.
All right, cool. So let's talk about Burning Out. This song like feels like what the title says to me. Like it's like he's feeling this burnout, and he like everything that's been going on in his life is no longer working the way that it's been. I'd also like to say this is my least favorite song on the album. Yeah. There's something about it that really just, I mean...
The droned out...
But that's...
He can... I'm going to say he can sing. I'm going to say that he knows how to carry notes, and he knows how to, hold down that tone and that voice and that vocal control. But there's something with this, that just the track, the way that he kind of carries the notes, and the way that it meshes with the beat is just a little bit offsetting for me.
But I almost feel like what bothers me about the song is almost the point, because it's a song about like burnout and feeling a certain way. It is that grating feeling. That's what he's trying to express, but he does it so well that it makes me like it a little bit less.
Right.
But like it also really fits within the album. And if we had all the same things, mad at all what the pain brings, I'm not sad, I love to bring you happiness, ain't try to save me, carry me is what shame brings, no God at all is what I'm remembering. And he just kind of, I just feel like this jadedness, like he's trying to do all the right things, but things aren't working, and nobody's trying to look out for him. And I just feel like this numbness to him, this overall burnout feeling. I know what burnout's like. It's when you work too fucking hard for too fucking long, and you try so many things, and then the next thing you know, you never took a break and you're fucking dead. and you got to take a time off and chill. That's literally the reason vacations are there. Not because the government cares so much about your health, but because you actually work harder by taking the break off. That's why companies do it. But you get the sense that he's going through an emotional burnout of sorts, you know. I swear I'm not sad. I love to bring you happiness. Just like think about that. Like he's dealing with his own shit, but he's coping by solving your problems and stuff.
Again, I don't think it's coping. I think that that's part of his curse. I feel like him prioritizing other people's shit is not allowing him to cope with himself.
But that's what I mean. That's kind of what coping is. You're using other things
My bad.
I mean, that's how I look at it. Like this is just the next in a succession of things he's been doing to avoid finding that resolution.
What I understand from coping is like you're trying to whatever. If I'm doing this to cope, it's because I'm trying to get myself over my problem, right?
Or you're trying to escape, or you're trying to hold on, or you're trying to.
But I don't think that's what he's doing with the people. I think he's just prioritizing them because that's who he is. Like he's trying to deal with the fact that he's a good guy who prioritizes someone else's shit over his, and now that's starting to get in the way with whatever he's dealing with because like he's got his own fucking things to deal with.
But I mean, I feel like he's realizing that.
Yeah.
But he still prioritizes other people who don't care about him as a coping mechanism. And now he's starting to understand the consequences throughout that outro where it's like everything's burning down around him. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you know, when he really starts to think about it. Mm-hmm. But I do think it starts from a place where caring about other people the way that he did.
That also gave me a feel like when he was like, what do you want from me? I feel like this is also maybe I could have taken it as like a girlfriend relationship again as well. Like he's dealing with this girl and she seems to maybe be a little bit like extra, we could say, and he's just kind of like, how do I make you happy? How do I get you to smile?
But I also feel like he wrote it in a way where it could be about a girl, but at this point we're back to it could be about anyone,
right?
And
that's what I do want to also give praise to is that I like his writing technique, his style. I like his. I don't want to say general because I don't want to take away from the uniqueness of it.
No, but it's like deliberately generalized in a smart and poetic way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anyway, so when he does finally escape, he can't help but be running back like a running back.
Been without a friend, running back to you.
I feel like this is him trying to like deal with the fact that he's trying to get out of the circumstances that he's finally identified all the bad in his life. He's now trying to make better choices and better habits.
But he keep running back and he's stuck in a loop with it, and he acknowledges that he's running back and that he's doing this. I feel like I feel like this is more of like I'm verbally explaining my situation so I can hear it back to myself so I can understand what's happening. Because I don't like, if you acknowledge that you keep running back, stop fucking running back.
Dude,
like, solve your problem, right?
I think that's a little bit of unfair criticism to make. Off camera, I know that there have been conversations we had where the term of running back, it could easily be applied to you. It could be applied to me. It could be applied to everyone. Right. So it's easy to say, well, if you can identify that that's a thing you shouldn't do, don't do that. But what I'm saying is I think he's expressing how complicated that is. He's trying to express that he knows it's really stupid to maybe come back to a person. Like, just look at the first lines there. Like, tell me what's good. Don't tell me what's the matter. Why can't I get away? Get away. Baby, you need to get away. Get away from all the shit you put me through. So, like, right away, the first line is, don't, tell me some superficial bullshit. Don't tell me some important shit. I recognize this is stupid, but I can't escape it. I'm stuck. Like, he's kind of, it's almost like, it's drugs in a sense, not necessarily literally
but that's
drugs.
Questioning, though. That's concerning. Like, if he's running, because I would think back, like, okay, if you're running back, it's because you want to make it work. Or you want
necessarily. You might be running back because it's what's normal.
Like addicting?
Yes. That's literally what I think he's going at. This is an addiction in a sense. Bad situations. Any one of them. Whether it literally be a line of coke, whether it be gambling, whether it be whores, whether it be women that aren't whores, that wasn't the best choice of terms.
Moving on.
Whether it be, I don't know, lying or stealing.
Just any type of thing that
whatever
could be
you're doing
as a negative
to
thing.
get your rush.
And
I think he wrote it generally. in that kind of way again. But then there's just stuff like almost tossed my life that night. You ain't worked that fight. I don't even know how I got here. I don't even want to be here. Waking up in your bed. I wish I could take back what I said. I used to love who you used to be. Now I don't know you. I thought I told you. So in a sense, that is very clearly about a person. But if you make it a metaphor, it could be about any destructive behavior in your life. About how in the beginning it looked good.
You
If
gotta
you
make your own bed, metaphor.
and if you really like think back to that devil shit, like how the devil makes things look a certain way, he's now seeing through the veneer, as they say, and I thought that was particularly cool. I enjoyed this song on the same level of what I'm calling the average of this album at like a 4.25. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good sound. And yeah, Chris is yawning.
I apologize. It's been a very, very long week, and I have other projects I've been working on. So I gave it a 3.8. I think it's an okay track, but I don't know. It didn't have that type of like flair that some of the other tracks on this album have.
All right, it's almost like Chris was born yesterday.
Those less fortunate scorned by those who have more. I'll never understand. Dry as a
I like this song. I feel like we've reached a part of the story where he's gaining control in his life, and he's like reaching the conclusion that there are things he can change, and he's not necessarily there yet, because it's almost like every day he wakes up and is having the epiphanies he needs to like change his life. So it's like he's born yesterday, like, you know, this is a new commitment. But I take that kind of
like as like he's still confused. Like if you're like when you're born, you don't know anything.
But it's not like the tail end of his confusion, right? So this is the part where he keeps trying to like make the changes in his life, and maybe it doesn't necessarily go the way he wants.
So like every day. Oh, okay. So like you wake up Monday morning, you go through an experience, and then it's like because you were born Monday morning, Tuesday you're gonna be better than Monday.
That's a way too. I kind of looked at it like he feels like you ever like looked at let's take the subject of addiction. A person consumes a substance, they get high, they go, man, this is fucked up. I shouldn't be doing this anymore, whatever. Wake up the next day, forget all about it, repeat the cycle. Maybe I kind of took maybe that sort of a born yesterday. Like every day you wake up and it's like you're born again without that recollection of your epiphany of the day before. Oh. So you're like on your quest.
It's kind of like you're maybe it's reincarnation in a sense. Like you're born yesterday, and you like, okay, so take the whole like smoking thing, right? Like you're addicted, you're smoking, and then you're like, yo man, maybe I should stop. And then you go to bed, but you don't wake up or be born today, the new day, as like somebody who's gonna quit. But you're going back to like yesterday when you were.
But that's it. I feel like yesterday's like, I feel like it's that feeling of when yesterday is like this epiphany moment where like you realize now you got to change everything, and how have I been wasting my time, and how have I been doing all this tomfoolery, and how have I been putting myself into these situations, and maybe like, you know, the school didn't raise me, my dad didn't raise me, I kind of am still in these bad situations and want it to be better. But like you see how he's almost internalizing things in a way where he's able to better handle it. Like I keep having a dream, can't seem to wake up from. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. Everything is okay when it's not. This is always how it's been, except it deviated from the plot. So it kind of has these vivid memories, but you know, everything's going to be okay. But all of a sudden this realization that things aren't okay anymore, and things really do need to change, and things aren't, you know, like, you know, just the way this crazy ride that he's been expressing this whole album isn't like functional towards his happiness or wherever. And it almost feels like you circle back to the beginning of that unhappiness, even though you've tried to do it. Like, you know, I like how he's like, but we're back to where we started. Blessings to the dearly departed, broken hearted, but discarded. I got all these friends and no one to call. All these and no one don't know how to ball. Saying party every night and we don't want to get off for the ride. You know, and if we really think about it, that really goes back to the very beginning of the album.
The words means, by the way.
Sure. Sorry. To the very beginning of the album, and you see that like it's almost circling back. Like this whole album has been this same trip of where you start off from partying every night, trying to escape, to run away from all your problems.
Right.
Only now to realize that after this whole journey, when you really think about it, you're still doing the exact same things, only it's got more people, and having more friends and connecting with all these other people didn't really solve anything because the problems were within yourself, and he's kind of having that realistic epiphany in his world. And I really enjoyed that. So I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was this uplifting, cooler kind of vibe to the song where it feels more pensive and strong, and it feels less wavy. It feels more rappy almost, and it's got like 3 verses, not a shit ton of singing. This is a pretty cool song for this late in the project.
I gave it a 4.
All right, cool. So there's a couple left. So the question is, can it fall?
Away, so I gotta walk away. I don't need you now.
I really like this one. This one kind of follows through. So in the last one, whereas there was that sense of confusion, I feel like that confusion's a little bit gone. He is now fully accepting and embracing that he himself is the problem in things. I'm broken down so very low. Ay, so am I. I just wanted to read it out like it was written on Genius. And the winter time is all the time I got to grow, and I know it's so miserable and cold, and I recognize the disappointment in myself. I pushed everyone away so I could be alone myself. It's a cold world. It's a new day. And like,
I like that.
it's kind of like he's painted in those lines everything he's described on the album up to this point. Like, this is fact. This is what I did. Only now it's a cold day and it's a new day, and there's like this weight attached to it, like, you know, but also like a sense of freedom.
I like the idea of like taking the time in winter to grow. Like, especially if I think of like our winters, I would
It's like 6
definitely.
months.
But I'm saying like I still want like just the fact of not having to go out, it's cold, travel, and all that stuff. Like, I would take that time, because in the summer you want to go out and party and enjoy your life, right? So if you think about it, for us, if it's 6 months, it takes 6 months to grow, blah, blah, blah. And then after all the negative we've gone onto the album, right? Take your time, go through the winter season. When summer comes up, boom, you back out there and you're doing what you got to do.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah, and like you just get this sense that he's gonna be okay because he understands it, you know. Like, I don't know what you could say to make me want to get up and start my days, put everything I had into the wrong place, give it all away, so I gotta walk away. You know, like, he's realizing that there's nothing you can do to deal with this situation. He did a bunch of shit, and he went into these certain circumstances, so now he's got to walk away from all that and be different with it. And then I love how the verse kind of ends with that I don't need you now, but you should know that I given everything that I own. I still wish you well. Everyone we love becomes a part of us, and I want to say, and then it goes into the hook. So I feel like there was like a main girl in all this that he pushes away, or was a bad turbulent situation, and he's trying to like say like, look, you'll always be a part of me, etc., but you can't fix me. I have to go fix myself. And there's almost a solace in that. And leave me alone. I'm only human, flesh and blood. Gotta surrender, but I keep on holding on to this grudge. So he's understanding that the pain that he's been holding on to his whole life, the anger, the vengeance, the whatever situation from his childhood, whatever, it's what's causing all the problems in his life, and he's got to like let go of it. And it's such a realistic journey. Like, this is kind of the epiphany you would get to at a certain point when you are trying to heal. And I like how he describes that in such a great way musically. And this song is a little more guitar-y, a little more singy, but like uplifty, but like super soft. I gave it a 4.25 on style, but I do like how it's placed on this album.
I gave it another 4 on 5. I like the song. I like that, you know, we're finally getting to that part where he's like starting to like cope with, like, my definition of cope, I guess, but like deal with what's happening and like what
that it would be coping healthily.
That I'm sorry, I'm bad with that word. But I like that he's now like accepting what's happening, moving forward through the stages to be better and to become this whole new person. What I did like, and this was a line out of everything he said on the track, this line stuck out to me, which was, gotta surrender, but I keep on holding on to this grudge. And it's just like, just the thought of keeping, like, holding on to something that's like maybe not worth it, or something so minimal, but it could cause you this much pain. It's like the self-destruction you can cause yourself. It was just so loud in that line. I just wanted to quote that. So I gave that a 4 on 5.
All right, and then we get to the final song on this project is deM atlaS Experience of the Bad Actress. What's the song called? Oh yeah, Gotta Get Over.
To pay from all the fake, from all the hate, from all the shade, all the time that
This song is
Cheery.
It's like the perfect way to end this project, you know? Like, he's got to get over you, this person, whoever caused him the hurt, he's got to get over you. He's got to let the pain go.
The experiences, I feel like you is symbolic to just more than just a physical
And,
human.
like, stages play, and I swear this bar is a cage. Everyone next something rose, and I'm awake. I feel like my eyes are closed. Lots of my friends ain't really my friends, And you're looking at it, and he's finally come to peace with what is really real in his life. And he wants to make better choices. It feels he's ready to move on. So whatever journey we've been on with him, and this whole like almost movie feel of going through this darkness of escapism and making all the wrong choices and all these other things, we've culminated to him just kind of recognizing he's got to get over you, and that, but the music and the way he sings it kind of sells how everything's going to be okay, and then like you got that part near the end where he's like, to know what I've been missing, damn for sure you miss it, the sun will come up for me, I wore my heart in your sleeve. He knows that he made maybe some mistakes with how he approached the situation. He was too whatever, but when he gets over her or it or whatever, and he gets past this and he moves on, it's gonna be all right. And you really feel that the whole way through this song. And I love the outro, the sad all the time. Why are you trying to be? Why are you trying to be? Why are you trying to be sad all the time? Where it's almost like his sorrow and everything was a choice he was indulging in, and that's the real epiphany of all this, is choosing to not be sad. And something we didn't necessarily mention is a few of the songs ended with like these kids in a playground, and like they were getting more and more loud and like anxious as the song went on. And this song ends with them all being calm and happy and cool again, like almost reflecting that there's this inner peace. And like the way these kids sounded and the noise they made almost reflected a certain degree of frustration and anxiety with things. And it just ends with everything being kind of peaceful and calm again. So I really I dug this, and I gave it another 4.5 on 5. I think it's a really great way to end this project.
I enjoy the full circle aspect of this album with the last track. I like how he kind of, when you get to the last song, for me at least, I felt like he really went into detail with certain emotions and certain like scenes and effects at how he used this album, that you really kind of feel happy to have finished it. You kind of feel happy that he's happy that there's peace and there's happiness in his life, and that he will move on and he will continue. It's like rooting for your favorite superhero or whatnot. He kind of instilled that effect on me, and this is the first time I heard him ever. So it was really cool. I do want to give a big shout out to Ant. Is it the producer?
It's Ant.
Because the beats on this album are super fantastic. I gave the song a 4.3.
That's fair. Yeah, the beats are fantastic. It's basically my favorite part of the album is a little bit more Ant than deM atlaS. I'm not gonna lie. I have the album 4.356. It's really cool. Each song tells this emotional journey that takes you in a place where you can kind of fill in the gaps yourself, and it goes from the crazy ecstatic party every day to the point of the situations I put myself in are my own fault and I need to get over them by getting over shit in a more healthy kind of way. And I like that emotional journey. That's probably, again, something a lot of people can relate to and connect to. Many people have probably experienced something similar in their own lives. And I love the way that the album has a congruency. Many songs kind of almost have foreshadowing or link to it, so it really allows you to create that movie in your head. And I think that's super cool. And Ant, being the sole producer, really was in touch with it all and really guided it in the right way. I'm really into this project. I think it's cool. I really hope he gets some shine. He's very different compared to a lot of stuff we talk about. I feel like the combination of like the more rapping and the singing, and I could see how a lot of people might not enjoy this stylistically, but I still think this project deserves this. Everyone should give it a little listen.
I gave the album a 4.3. I do want to go back to it and listen to it again. I do want to actually kind of disconnect from it and just listen to it as a playthrough, and instead of having to analyze it and stuff, and kind of really just vibe to the music and get into it instead of having to like pick it apart. But I think he has potential. I think deM atlaS has potential to be bigger than what he is right now, and I'm interested to see another album, see another project, see what new type of cinematic type story he's gonna give us, because that's what I feel we got from this album.
And I think that's what's really cool is that he really took the album seriously and made it a whole project worth listening to. But as always, you can let us know in the comments what you think. So thank you for watching this thing. It's super awesome that you would come through it. Let us know what you think, like I just said. Special thanks to our patrons, Linda Williams, Super School 1994, Ismail Gadamsi, and Chris Prado. They support us. Over on Patreon, you can join the request pool, which helps you force our hand in terms of reviewing certain albums. You get access to content early, all sorts of goodies. Well, not that many goodies. We will one day have all sorts of goodies. In the meantime, if you're not down for that, feel free to hit that subscribe button and show some support. Hit that like button if you liked it. Hit that dislike button if you didn't. Leave that comment telling us why you disliked it if you do hit that dislike button. Usually you do. You guys who dislike, you like to leave comments too. So anyway, thanks, and I appreciate you all here, and we'll be back next week with some other new album, and coming at the end of the month is some Juggalo love. So take care, everyone.